Okay, passes 11-3. Thank you. Okay, where are we? There's no notice of motions. Okay,
This will require some context.
general information, other business? Yes, please. Okay, we're on number 12, notice of motion. Are there any notice?
So this is, let me just refresh this.
Okay, passes 11-3.
Let me refresh this so that you can see the tweet from my brother. He texted me after the stream earlier this week when I improperly described his Twitter feed. It's not lion law, it's lion advocacy. That is my brother from my actual mother, despite the fact that we look, I think, wildly different. Look at that, man. That's a good-looking man. We look wildly different. That's my brother. He is involved in advocacy work as relates to COVID-type stuff up in Canada. The video that I just showed you very briefly, I want to start off with something good today that's not going to make you want to gag, as most of our other stuff, intro videos, is a woman who is crying or getting emotional as she announces that the city of Hamilton has finally withdrawn. What was the word here? They've removed the vaccination, and I'm putting it in quotes, people, so you can snip and clip that and call me whatever name you want. The vaccination, the jab, they've eliminated it for new hires. Voted down, finally. So I'm watching this video the first time, possibly reading the tweet, possibly one of the most emotionally powerful moments I've seen in a council meeting. I think it's definitively so. Council meetings are notoriously boring, except when Alex Stein is there. The chair's reaction when she realizes City of Hamilton C-19 jibby jab mandate for new hires will finally be voted down. True leadership, empathizing with the suffering of so many constituents. And you can see the person's getting emotional. Let me just press play again here.
2-3.
And then her name is Esther Pauls. When I first watched it, I didn't know exactly who Esther Pauls was. And for a second, I thought this was someone who had voted for the mandates, now, trying to get in the goodwill and the good graces of the people that have been harmed by these mandates for the last 3 years. No. Esther Pauls, I did a minor due diligence, a minor breakdown. Esther Pauls, from the beginning, had been very critical of the vaccine mandates. She said she got lambasted as being an anti-vaxxer, one of those double jabbed anti-vaxxers. She, from the beginning, 2021, she had tried to put down these mandates, these requirements, unsuccessfully. 2022 tried again, was foiled, or it didn't happen. Esther Pauls, you can look her up, she's been against it from day one, not against the jibby jab, not against vaccines in general, against this. She got lambasted for it. She got demonized for it. And it finally freaking passed 11-3, which means that there's still 3 people on that city council voting to maintain these jabs as a precondition for employment. So that was the good news of the day. My brother, Lion Advocacy, is the tweet. I just feel like I just messed something up here. Is everything's working correctly, right? Let me make sure are we good? So that was the good news. We don't always have to start with stuff that makes you want to puke in your mouth because it's Justin Trudeau, or it's Obama talking about how they're what it takes to preserve democracy. It doesn't always have to start badly. It can start off on good stuff. Esther Pauls has been a warrior throughout, and finally saw the fruits of years of her labor, opposition, and justice. Whether or not they're going to go back and I don't know who got fired for not getting the jab, whether or not they're going to rehire, back pay, whatever. No medical advice, no legal advice, no election fortification advice. You can read that comment if you want. Okay, so I was going to go do a car vlog, and I said, for what it's worth, it's too hot right now to go do a car vlog. I'm probably going to do the car vlog later on today on the Time article that just came out. Let me just flash the headline for you. I'm going to do a car vlog on this later, but we're going to talk about it regardless when we go over to Rumble afterwards. And not because I don't want to talk about it on YouTube because I'm scared of the censors. I'm making a car vlog on this, and we're going to talk about it later today, just to whet everyone's appetite as to what's coming today. Some fun stuff. It's a big day, like subtle but big. Kim Gardner, that corrupt DA who prosecuted the McCloskeys maliciously, ran her re-election campaign on prosecuting the McCloskeys, Soros funded. If it's not directly, it's indirectly. Soros funded, has resigned. The DA, I think they call it the DA, the circuit attorney, whatever they call it, who failed to show up to a trial for an alleged accused attempted murderer, is out, resigned. Some Florida laws that are being passed, which are being, on the one hand, misrepresented, and to some extent, and on another hand, certain Florida laws being passed, get ready to get shocked, with which I don't necessarily agree. We'll talk about it. What else do we have on the menu? We got some good stuff on the menu. Here, hold on one second there. Okay. We have do the standard. We got good stuff. But hold on. We don't start off by gagging. We're going to start off with another cute one. It's the next chapter in the continued assault on Tucker Carlson. The more leaked video to Media Matters that's being slowly but surely leaked to the public, as though someone's going to think that this somehow justifies what Fox News had to do, going to convince the general public what an awful, evil man that Tucker Carlson is. And you tell me if this makes you like or dislike Tucker Carlson more. The latest in the leaks. Hold on, look at this, guys. Matt Gertz, senior fellow at MMFA, and it's not Mixed Martial Arts for America. It's not something good and interesting. Media Matters for America. We've seen him earlier this week because they're running one leak after another for what someone at Fox News has decided it's in their best interest now to work with Media Matters. This is one of the latest videos leaked showing what an absolute awful man Tucker Carlson is. Look at this, getting makeup before a show.
Can I ask you a question? You don't have to answer. It's personal. I'm not speaking of you, but more in general of ladies. When they go to the ladies' room and powder their noses, is there actually nose powdering going on?
Sometimes.
Ooh, I like the sound of that.
Most of the time it's lipstick.
Do pillow fights ever break out? You don't have to.
Not in the bathroom.
Okay, not in the bathroom. Okay, that'd be more a dorm activity. Okay.
This is naughty nurse territory.
I'm sorry. So you are such a good sport, such a good person. Thank you. I know you do, but you do not deserve that, and I mean it with great affection.
I got you, man. Which way do you want to go?
Yes, ma'am. Sorry. Let me tune in.
Okay. This is it. This is the dirt that they're pulling up. I mean, I guess they've given up on Tucker Carlson's, the clips that they got from him on Bubba the Love Sponge from 2008. They need to move on to more recent stuff. This just makes Tucker Carlson look like the biggest monster on earth. First of all, people, because I don't have an inherently perverted mind that I know of.
Question, you don't have to answer. It's personal.
This.
I'm not speaking of you, but more in general of ladies. When they go to the ladies' room and powder their noses, is there actually nose powdering going on?
Okay, so is that a drug joke, or is that supposed to be, I don't know, some thinly, poorly veiled, what's the word I'm looking for when you come onto a woman? I can't remember the word for that. Is that supposed to be a drug joke? Is it supposed to be like powder the noses in cocaine, or is it supposed to be some dirtier thing that I'm not getting?
Sometimes.
Okay, whatever. Let's just that's the latest leaks from Tucker Carlson. They're not yet done. Let's just throw out a bunch of stuff and hope something sticks. Powder your nose equals makeup. Powder your nose equals makeup. Yes. But when he's saying, do you actually powder your nose? Was it supposed to be a cocaine reference? Now, hold on. Deep fake Comcom says, you're the second person that I've seen say this. Someone said it on the Twitter tweet. It's not a deep fake. Chat, let me know, please. Is that a deep fake? He thinks it's makeup. Fox is stupid. Sure. Okay, seriously, that's nothing. I agree. Salty indignation and nose powder equals. That's what I thought. So the joke is, are you doing drugs? Like, not. I don't know what they think they're doing by showing these videos. I mean, we've seen like the Bill O'Reilly meltdowns when nobody's looking. the F it will do it live, which I mean makes him look a little irritable. But I don't even know I don't know what they're thinking with this. But we'll see how far it goes. If it's a deep fake, why? That's what I was thinking. It would be much worse than that. And I think it would have been more than one or two people saying it's a deep fake. I think the whole idea is this is not even a deep fake. This is just Tucker Carlson being a funny guy making a joke to the woman who's getting close to his face. And it's an uncomfortable thing to get powdered. Like I don't put on makeup, which is why my forehead shines, which is why my blemishes are for everyone to see. But when I did the interview with PragerU, which I think is going to be broadcast sooner than later, they put powder on. So nasty, that stuff. Like you gotta rub it off your face afterwards. And it looks good from afar. You don't shine and everything, but then you get close and you can really see the foundation. But it's weird. You got someone up in your face, like getting close, and you got to find something uncomfortable to talk about with them to lighten the tension, to ease the tension, baby. Just easing the tension. That's a Happy Gilmore reference. Nothing more than that. Okay, let's get started. Let's get started on Kim Gardner. I don't know that there's no justice in this. It's like, oh, good, she's resigning now. She's got her comeuppance, after she maliciously prosecuted the McCloskeys. Does everyone remember the McCloskeys? Or am I sharing the screen? Take this down for a second while I lose it on the McCloskeys. Does everyone remember the McCloskeys? When you had a group of, I think it was Black Lives Matter protesters looking for the mayor's house or something, going through the streets of a gated community that they had busted down the gate on. And remember the disinformation on that story? Oh, it was just protesters in the street, and these big, bad, burly white folks came out with an AR-15 and pointed it at the crowd. And then it came out that, yeah, this group of protesters broke down a gate, and the road that they were on is on a private community, and they were threatening to burn down the McCloskey's house and kill his dog or something. And so the McCloskeys come out, two elderly white folk, lawyers, been doing very well for themselves as lawyers if they can own that mansion, and I say that without judgment, come out. Mr. McCloskey, Mark McCloskey, has an AR-15, and the wife comes out with like this little now we know not functional firearm, and then they get charged for brandishing firearms. And then we found out in the context of that, well, that Kim Gardner was running her re-election campaign, saying, I want to prosecute, using that incident to raise money for her re-election. Brandishing firearms, as we learned at the time, required the firearm to be readily capable of lethal use. We found out that the handgun that Mrs. McCloskey was holding was not readily capable for lethal use because it had been used as a prop in a lawsuit that they were involved in, and it had the firing pin removed so that it wasn't actually even a functional firearm. But in order to make it one, so that they could prosecute the both of them, Kim Gardner and her investigative team disassembled the dysfunctional gun and reassembled it so that it would be functional, so they could properly charge Ms. McCloskey with brandishing a firearm. Does everyone remember that? So there's no justice that can be happening here just because now she's embarrassed or resigning and whatever. But, who's going to complain? St. Louis prosecutor Kim Gardner to resign June 1 after weeks of resistance. By the way, I don't know if this article gets to it. I hope it does. Apparently, from what I understand, she's blaming racism. St. Louis Circuit Attorney, that's right, not District Attorney, Circuit Attorney Kimberly M. Gardner arrives at the Mel Carnahan Courthouse. Yada, yada, yada. By afternoon, news emerged that Gardner submitted her resignation to Governor Mike Parsons. St. Louis Circuit Attorney Kimberly H. Gardner announced Thursday that after weeks of blistering pressure from Missouri lawmakers, she would indeed resign. In a letter addressed to Governor Parson, Gardner made no mention of the turmoil in her office, nor the extensive staff departures in recent weeks. It's like the rats jump ship when the ship starts sinking. And I maybe that's not nice to imply that all the people resigning are co-rats of the same enterprise. But maybe the poo-poo just got so disgusting and so insufferable, even for the staff that had been with her for so long, they decided to resign. Yeah, but everyone jumps ship. Instead, she said she was stepping down effective June 1st to prevent the state legislature from passing a bill that would strip her of most of her power, permanently remove the right of every St. Louis voter to elect their circuit attorney. The most powerful weapon I have to fight back against these outsiders stealing your voices and your rights is to step back. Oh, do they ever pretend to be the victims, the victimizers? I took this job to serve the people of the city of St. Louis, and that's still my North Star. Wow, news of her departure sent I don't know who it sent shockwaves through. They were debating a bill to strip her of her power. That's just a woman who maliciously prosecutes, maliciously fails to prosecute. Do they give the examples here? Officials across the region on Thursday welcomed Gardner's departure, but many shared a deep concern about who would handle upcoming hearings, communicate with victims, and pick up the pieces of an office that has now roughly a third of the attorneys as when Gardner started. St. Louis judges in a statement Thursday said they were deeply concerned about the high volume of serious criminal cases scheduled for trial in the coming weeks without assigned prosecutors. What did I just do here? Okay, here we go. It's unbelievable. What did this person get their talking point from Ayanna Pressley talking about Neely, the New York City Metro victim who died, a lynching? Gardner's supporters remain steadfast. We just witnessed a modern day lynching, said Adolphus Pruitt, head of the NAACP, way to desecrate the history of actual racial lynchings in America. Oh, this is a racial lynching. It's so disgusting because it's such soft bigotry of low expectations. The idea that you cannot compel the resignation of someone who is not just wildly incompetent, but deeply corrupt. Oh, and if you do, it's racism. It's shameless. It's unfortunate that all the forces against Kim Gardner chose to make it impossible for the office to function in the way it needed to. It wasn't functioning in the way it was supposed to. In so many ways, chased away talent that might. I don't think that's the takeaway. She came under scrutiny within months of taking office for staff departures. Then, about a year into office, she indicated sitting Governor Eric Greitens for taking a partial. She indicted sitting Governor Eric Greitens for taking a partially nude photo of a woman without her consent. But the charges were eventually dropped, and investigators she hired pleaded guilty in federal court to concealing documents in the case. And Gardner herself was reprimanded by the Missouri Supreme Court and forced to pay $750 in an ethics case over her mishandling of evidence. Wow. No, it's racism. It's a lynching. She continued to face public scrutiny over her exclusion list. Why is it doing this? Of St. Louis police officers whose work she didn't trust, and also for her decision to charge the Central West End couple. That was the McCloskeys. Gardner was reelected for a second term in a landslide. She pledged to continue fighting. This is the problem, by the way. I mean, she was elected. She was voted. People voted her back in knowing, I guess, to some extent. Maybe they didn't. In February, scandals intensified when a car speeding through downtown streets crashed, pinning between two vehicles, a teen visiting St. Louis for a volleyball game and leading to the amputation of both of her legs. The car's driver, Daniel Riley, had remained free after court delays despite violating his bond dozens of times. Gardner's office was widely blamed for delaying Riley's trial and not filing to revoke bond. She in turn blamed the judge for not accepting a bond reduction request. This is not the time for finger pointing, she said then. What else do we got here? Years to clean up this mess. Senate Minority Leader John Rizzo, a Democrat from the Independents, said Gardner reached out to him. Rizzo told Gardner that Republicans were serious about appointing a special prosecutor to take on violent crime cases in St. Louis. Okay, whatever. I think we got enough of this. My goodness, how much more? Let's just get the most powerful weapon I have is to fight back. All right. You're gone. Good riddance. The damage that Kimberly Gardner has caused will indeed last years, but like endless corruption, endless incompetence, politically motivated, ideologically motivated. And let me just do one thing here. We got to double check. We're going to do this in real time, just to make sure. Soros has good taste in prosecutors. Yeah, let's see this. There we go. Soros-backed prosecutor mired in scandal resigns. It's amazing. He hires very progressive prosecutors. Soros-backed Kim Gardner could be held in contempt after team fails to show at murder trial. It was murder. It wasn't attempted murder. A George Soros-backed prosecutor in Missouri accused of neglecting her duties may be held in criminal contempt of court after no one from her team showed up to a murder trial. I remembered this. St. Louis Circuit Attorney Kim Gardner finds herself in more hot water. Judge Milken filed a motion following her team's failure to show up in court on Monday against Jonathan Jones, 18, who is accused of fatally shooting a man in 2021. Yeah, no, but it's a modern day lynching. That tells you the injustice and the horror of making sure that she no longer holds office. Apparently, she was going to night classes as a nurse. I guess she saw the writing on the wall and needs to plan for the future. So she was moonlighting in nursing school for her second career. But you can accuse me of holding a grudge. I would not want Kim Gardner helping me with anything that required medical attention. I would not want a Soros-funded anyone who is clearly politically motivated, ideologically motivated, doing anything to me that required like medical attention. So Kim Gardner's out, and we'll see who replaces her. Will they be better? Will they be worse? Who knows? Find out on the next edition of George Soros Tries to Destroy America. I'm sorry, he tries to reshape America, I think is the way he said it. All right. Story number one. Let's do one more quick one here before we head on over to Rumble exclusively. Do we go with this? Oh, let's go with this one. Let's do this one. This is beautiful. We'll end on another video that this one might have made you gag if you watched it. If I had started off with this, Cernovich tweeting out, global warming is the largest scam in human history. It's long. We've got to go through it just so we can really let the full impact of the absurdity of the experts who are dictating public policy, testifying. Their expert testimony is in my heart of hearts, and you'll see this. Senator Kennedy, I don't mind the guy. He's asking good questions.
Mr. Secretary, thanks for being here. I want to tap your expertise for a moment. Give me your best estimate, just an estimate, I know, of how soon you think the United States of America will be carbon neutral.
Carbon neutral.
So,
by the way, just listen to every sentence starts with so.
I think, according to the climate scientists around the world, and certainly the cutting edge scientists that we need to rely on here in the U.S.
Can you believe anybody with a serious, straight face saying the experts, the scientists, the cutting edge scientists that we need to rely on across the world, given the debacle that was their COVID response, their COVID modeling? Can we understand that for 1 second? And this idiot thinks that he's being smart and thinks that he's smarter than other people for deferring to the very same expert idiots who absolutely blew pretty much every aspect of the COVID response, COVID modeling, COVID jibby jab.
We've got to get carbon neutral by 2050, and I'm very comfortable with that target, and I think that's the appropriate target.
By 2050.
Didn't AOC say that there's only 12 years left? So what good does it do getting carbon neutral by 2050 if we've only got 10 years left now?
27 years. That is not a long time away.
And how much will that cost?
So the cost that I focus on even more is all the cost.
That wasn't the. So how much is it going to cost? So the cost that I focus on even more is if we don't do it. I don't have that number either, but it's more.
No,
That
the
are going
total
to happen
cost.
if we
How
don't
much
get our
will
act
it
together.
cost to get us carbon neutral?
It's going to cost trillions of dollars, and it'll cost tens of trillions of dollars if we don't get our act together.
How many trillions?
I don't have the estimate or the numbers in front of me. I've seen a variety of different estimates, but it's a large amount. Fundamentally transforming our energy
Tell
economy
me the
is a
estimates.
big deal.
Tell me the estimates that you've seen.
I don't have those numbers.
I don't have. I don't have those numbers. We're not asking you to the nearest dollar. Was it 10 trillion, 700 billion, 854 million, 900? The number. If I saw an estimate that's $50 trillion, I would not need to have those numbers in my hands in order to understand the cost of the proposal that I am putting forward to the government.
Right on hand.
So you're advocating that we become carbon neutral, but you don't know how much it's going to cost.
So there's an awful lot of estimates out there. It
Yeah,
depends
but
on.
you're-
Just appreciate, by the way, Deputy Secretary, United States Department of the joke here is that it literally looks like every single person in the Biden administration holding a position of power is an absolute bumbling idiot. I mean, I can't think of ones that are not. And Secretary Yellen, bumbling idiot. David Turk, bumbling idiot. Rachel Levine, bumbling idiots. Bumbling idiot after bumbling idiot. And these are the people governing the most powerful nation on earth.
Technology
You're the
improvement and
deputy
other kinds of
secretary.
things.
You're the expert.
I
Give me
know.
an
I know
estimate
with
of
a
how much
certain-
it's going to cost.
I know with the certainty of all the experts I've spoken about, it's cheaper to get our act together
Get our act
than
together.
it is to not get our act together on climate
Okay,
change.
Act
then
together.
tell me the cost
Orders
versus
of
the
magnitude.
cost that if we don't do it.
I think it's orders of magnitude
I
different.
think it's orders of magnitude.
If
I
we don't
know
get our
that,
act
but
together,
you-
it's
you
10 or
don't
100
have a cost. You want us to get there, but you can't tell the American taxpayer how much it's going to cost. Is that your testimony?
It's
Yep.
going to save us money, and there's a lot of jobs.
Well, how do we
a lot of
know if you
American
don't know how much it's
manufacturing.
going to cost?
I don't have the number. It's going to cost us more. It's going to save us money. There's a lot. Just throw a bunch of crap out there in the hopes of not being pursued to provide an answer to the question. This is what it looks like when children become adults and obtain undeserved positions of power.
Cost.
I'd be happy to pull up the latest numbers that I've seen.
How about
Compare
$50
notes.
trillion? Is that right?
It's going to cost trillions of dollars. There's no doubt about it.
Okay. If we spend trillions of dollars
Listen to this.
and we achieve,
By the way, he just got it out of him. Kennedy knew the estimates are $50 trillion. Just a cool $50 trillion to reshape the energy sector as it's currently understood. $50 trillion. I was trying to put zeros on it. I don't know how it goes. Million, 100 million, billion, 100 billion. And then I guess it goes into trillion.
some of your colleagues estimate 50 trillion. And it disappoints me that you're not willing to give the estimates. I hope you're not telling me you have no idea how much it's going to cost. That creates a whole new host of problems.
That noise is coming from the video.
But if it costs $50 trillion, as some of your colleagues have testified, to become carbon neutral by 2050, and I'm all for carbon neutrality, by the way, how much is that going to lower world temperatures? Or how much is that going to reduce the increase in world temperature?
But can you appreciate? I mean, I was listening to this last night, just basking in the stupidity of the human mind. We're the smartest animal on earth, in theory. If we spend $50 trillion to become carbon neutral, how much is that going to reduce or cause a reduction in the increase of the global temperature? Weathermen cannot predict the weather in 5 days. They can't predict the landfall of a hurricane. I mean, they can do it relatively accurately, I guess. They're asking, what's going to be the weather in 27 years when they can't tell us the weather in a week? If we do something that involves becoming carbon neutral, what are the other effects that might occur as a result of that? But if we do this, how much do you think we're going to change the weather? Let me know. And by the way, I know the same experts that you're relying on now were the ones talking about global cooling in the 70s, but that's because they were dumb back then. It's the same ones that were talking about global warming in the 90s, but since we're not really global warming, it's got to go to climate change. Imagine the ignorant arrogance of a human saying, if we do all sorts of things, how much can we change the weather in 27 years?
So every country around the world needs to get its act together. Our emissions are about 13% of
Get its act together.
global emissions.
Yeah, but if
right
you could
now.
answer my question, if we spend
Yes.
$50 trillion
Listen to this.
to become carbon neutral in the United States of America by 2050, you're the Deputy Secretary of Energy. Give me your estimate of how much that is going to reduce world temperatures.
So first of all, it's a net cost. It's what benefits we're having from getting our act together and
Getting our
reducing
act
all
together?
of those climate benefits. We're seeing
Let me ask again,
hundreds of
maybe
billions
I'm
of dollars
being,
right now.
maybe I'm not being clear. If we spent $50 trillion to become carbon neutral by 2050 in the United States of America, how much is that going to reduce world temperatures?
this is a global problem.
This is a global problem. You know how much it's going to reduce global temperatures? 0. Because China, for the life of it, is not going to do anything about this. India, for the life of it, is not going to become carbon neutral by 2050. It's going to do jack squat. In fact, I might even just venture a hypothetical educated guess. It'll probably make it worse, because what's going to happen, in order for America and Canada under Trudeau to become carbon neutral, they're going to outsource their pollution to countries that will not cripple their own economy for the betterment, for the hypothetical, theoretical betterment in 20 years' time of 1 degree of the Earth's global temperature. They won't do it. So, hey, good. You'll cripple Canada. You'll cripple the States. It'll cost $50 trillion, and it will produce net nothing, because all you're going to end up doing is outsourcing your pollution to countries that are not going to cripple themselves for some hypothetical, theoretical, and probably just as ill-founded stuff as what we saw in the 70s. Let's see what he has to say.
So we need to reduce our emissions, and we need to do everything we can.
How much,
to
if we do
influence
our
other
part, is it
countries.
going to reduce
So
world
we're
temperatures?
13% of global emissions.
You don't
right
know,
now.
do you? You don't know, do you?
You can do the math. We need to.
You don't know, do you?
You
Mr.
can do the
Secretary?
math.
So we're 13% of
If
global
you know,
emissions.
why won't
If
you
we
tell
went-
me?
If we went to zero, that would be 13%.
You
of the
don't know,
solution.
do you? You just want us to spend $50 trillion, and you don't have the slightest idea whether it's going to reduce world temperatures. Now, I'm all for carbon neutrality, but you're the Deputy Secretary of the Department of Energy,
I love the way this
and
guy
you're
talks.
advocating we spend trillions of dollars to seek carbon neutrality, and you can't, and this isn't your money or my money, it's taxpayer money, and you can't tell me how much it's going to lower world temperatures?
There,
Or you won't tell me? You know, but you won't?
in my heart of hearts, there is no way the world gets its act together on climate change
World
unless
act-
the U.S. leads.
Tell me how much.
In my heart of hearts. There you have it, people. Trust the science. In my heart of hearts, I know it will help. And if I'm wrong, sorry, at least my heart was in the right place. $50 trillion. Okay, there's one super chat here, which I'll get to before we head over. Why was Gardner going to nursing school also? She's planning. She knew what was coming. I mean, I don't know how long in advance did she know. Maybe she didn't like what she was doing. Okay, Buckle Brush Jones, good to see you again. Thank you very much. Let's go on over to Rumble. Let me get the link so I can give it to all of you again. And then after we're done on Rumble, we will go over to locals as well. Here, so one more time, link to Rumble. Let me just see here. China, India have millions of people, but only 2%. Okay, so I didn't read that. No, but China and India, so the U.S. is number 3, I think. And even if we assume that emissions are the actual problem, they're, as far as I have understood, carbon emissions have become the what is it called? The be all and end all of pollution. What consumes carbon dioxide? Trees, algae. What produces the most oxygen? Is it algae or phytoplankton? I think it might be phytoplankton. So this idea, even if we accept what might be a potentially fundamentally flawed premise that carbon emissions are the end all and be all of all pollution, I think China and India are number 1 and 2, if I'm not mistaken, and then U.S. is number 3. But then you have to, play with that a little bit and go by per capita. Per capita, China is not as bad as the U.S. because it's a 2 billion population country. Oh, okay. Without CO2, life will end. What is it? I think it's phytoplankton or it's phytoplankton that are the greatest consumers of carbon dioxide and the greatest emitters of oxygen. All right, let's do it. Let's go on over to Rumble, people, and then we're going to talk the Neely incident. CNN covering that. Mark Elias covering the Carrie Lake. Florida laws, and there was something else I forget. Okay, everybody, come on over to Rumble. We're ending on